Chapter 1. Hidden Wounds. The hot iron pressed against Maya's forearm before she could pull away. The scent of burning flesh mixed with perfume that clung to Elena's chambers. She bit her tongue hard enough to taste copper, refusing to give the Luna satisfaction. "Clumsy girl," Elena said, false concern dripping from her voice. "You really should be more careful styling my hair." Maya kept her eyes downcast, amber gaze fixed on polished stone. "Forgive me, my lady." Through the mirror, she caught Elena's reflection. Golden hair, ice-blue eyes glittering with cold hunger. Beautiful, cruel, untouchable as Luna of the Thornridge pack. The burn joined a constellation of scars mapping 6 years of torment. Elena had requested Maya as her personal attendant 6 years ago, after Alpha Marcus glanced at the kitchen girl for 3 seconds. Just 3 seconds that sealed Maya's fate. The memory came unbidden. She was 13 again, crouched in their cottage while shadows moved outside. Her mother's hand pressed against her mouth. "Stay quiet, little wolf. No matter what happens, you survive." The rogues came before dawn. Her parents shifted to defend their home, but Maya watched her father's throat torn open, heard her mother's agonized howl. She'd tried to shift for the first time that night, her wolf surging forward to protect, to fight. But witnessing their deaths shattered something fundamental. The transformation seized halfway, pain exploding through every nerve. The rogues left her for dead. She'd lain among her parents' bodies until dawn, her wolf trapped inside, blocked by trauma too severe to process. Old Petra found her 3 days later, barely alive. The cook smuggled her into the castle kitchens, fed her, asked no questions when Maya stayed silent for weeks. "Best not mention your wolf to anyone," Petra advised. "Shifters who can't shift proper are treated worse than humans who never had the gift." So Maya became invisible. She worked in kitchens for 6 years, learning to survive through silence, until that day Alpha Marcus noticed her unusual amber eyes. 3 seconds. That's all it took for Elena to see her as a threat. "Adequate work," Elena said, admiring herself. "Now fetch my sapphire gown." Inside Maya's chest, her trapped wolf howled soundlessly, desperate for freedom. But she pushed it down as always. Better to seem human and powerless than reveal her brokenness. She'd made a promise to survive, so she would endure another night, another day, another year if necessary. Chapter 2. The return drums of war had silenced along the northern border. Marcus Thornridge guided his warriors home 3 weeks early, eager to wash death's stench away. What he didn't expect was the scream echoing through castle corridors as he dismounted. Maya's hand shook, fastening the final clasp on Elena's gown. The fabric had torn. A deliberate cut Elena made herself, though no one would believe that. "You ruined it," Elena hissed. "This gown cost more than your worthless life." "My lady, I can mend—" "Silence!" Elena's hand yanked Maya's hair back viciously. "You think I don't see what you are? A threat?" The first strike of the leather whip caught Maya across the shoulders, tearing through her dress and splitting skin. The second landed across her back. Something inside Maya snapped. Her hand shot out instinctively, catching Elena's wrist mid-swing. For one breathless moment, they stared at each other. "Let go of me!" Elena snarled. Instead, Maya pushed. Not hard, just enough to break free. Elena let herself fall theatrically, one hand flying to her head as if struck. The whip landed perfectly in Maya's fingers. "Guards!" Elena screamed. "She's attacking me!" Heavy boots thundered upstairs. The door burst open. Guards saw their Luna on the floor, tears streaming, a red mark on her cheek where she'd scratched herself, and Maya standing over her with the whip, blood dripping down her back. "Seize her!" the lead guard commanded. Maya didn't fight. What would be the point? She'd attacked the Luna. The punishment was death. As they dragged her toward the dungeons, she caught Petra's horrified face in the corridor. Their eyes met briefly. "Thank you. Don't intervene. Save yourself." Marcus was halfway to his chambers when Owen, his beta, intercepted him. "Alpha, there's been an incident. The Luna was attacked by her servant." Marcus's jaw tightened. Elena had a habit of causing drama. How severely? A mark on her face, some bruising. Owen paused. "But Alpha, you should see the servant girl first. There are inconsistencies." That was unusual. Owen didn't question Packlaw lightly. "Take me to the dungeons." The cell was dark, lit by a single torch. The girl sat in the corner, knees drawn to chest. Then she lifted her head, and amber eyes caught firelight. Recognition hit him. The kitchen girl from years ago. The one Elena requested as her servant shortly after their marriage. "Stand up," he commanded. She rose slowly, each movement stiff with pain. Her dress was torn and soaked with blood, fresh wounds across her shoulders and back. But it was the other marks that made his breath catch. Old scars layered across her arms, burns in distinct patterns, cuts healed poorly, evidence of systematic abuse over months or years. His wolf surged forward with protective rage that had no business existing for a stranger accused of attacking his Luna. "What is your name?" "Maya, Alpha." "You attacked my Luna?" "I pushed her when she struck me. I didn't mean, I just wanted her to stop." The honesty caught him off guard. A guilty person would have denied everything. "Show me your back. All of it." Maya hesitated, then obeyed. The ruined dress fell forward, exposing skin marked by years of torture. Fresh welts crossed old scars. Burn marks, the parallel lines of a whip used repeatedly. Fury uncoiled in Marcus's chest. "How long?" "6 years, Alpha." The entire duration of her service. His entire marriage. "You never spoke of this?" "Who would have believed me? I'm just a servant. She's the Luna." She was right. That truth burned worse than any wound. "The law is clear about your crime. Attacking the Luna carries one penalty." "I know." Maya lifted her chin. "I accept my punishment. I only ask that my body be burned properly. My parents deserved better than I could give them." Before he could question the impulse, he said, "I'm ordering a healer to examine you before dawn." Surprise flickered across her features. "Standard procedure." He lied smoothly, but he needed time to think. "If you're lying about any of this, I will know." "I'm not lying, Alpha. I've done many things to survive, but lying has never served me well." Marcus left, with his mind churning. Something felt fundamentally wrong. In her cell, Maya finally broke. Tears spilled as she curled into herself. Tomorrow, she would die. But at least tonight, someone had finally seen her scars. Chapter 3. Truth revealed. Owen descended the dungeon stairs before dawn. He'd served Thornridge for 15 years, long enough to develop instincts when something didn't add up. "The Alpha ordered a healer to examine you," he told Maya, "but I wanted to speak with you first." "Why?" "Because your injuries are extensive. The Lunas are superficial, yet you're facing execution." For a long moment she said nothing. Then softly, "What does it matter? I'll be dead by morning." "It matters because Alpha Marcus doesn't execute without certainty. He's looking for reasons to question his judgment." Something flickered in Maya's expression. Hope, perhaps. So she told him everything. 6 years of systematic torture. Burns, cuts, beatings, whenever Elena felt threatened or bored. How witnesses were silenced through threats or disappearances. "The Alpha looked at me once," Maya said hollowly, "for maybe 3 seconds. She decided I was a threat that needed breaking." Owen's jaw clenched. "Why didn't you report this?" "Petra tried once, 3 years ago. The guard she spoke to was transferred to the most dangerous border post. A servant who'd shown me kindness disappeared that same night. That tracked with what Owen knew of Elena's methods. There's something else, Maya added, voice dropping. I'm not human. I have a wolf. It's been trapped inside me since I was 13, since the night rogues murdered my parents, and I watched them die. Owen's breath caught. A shifter with a blocked wolf was rare, tragic, and considered defective by pack prejudice. If I have a confirmed wolf, even a broken one, I have legal rights a human doesn't, Maya continued. Maybe enough to demand proper investigation. Clever girl, Owen thought. Even facing death, she was thinking strategically. The healer will be able to sense it. Stay here. Say nothing until I return. Owen spent the late hours gathering evidence. A young maid admitted seeing Maya with fresh injuries multiple times. An older steward confirmed food orders for Elena's chambers never included portions for the attendant, and Petra told him everything, finding Maya half dead a decade ago, watching helplessly as Elena destroyed her over years. I tried to help once, Petra whispered, but Elena made it clear. Interfere, and more people would suffer. That ends tonight, Owen promised. The healer arrived as gray dawn filtered through windows. Her examination was thorough, conducted in tense silence. Well? Owen demanded. The healer's expression was grim. Extensive injuries showing repeated trauma over years. And there's something else. This girl has a wolf. Blocked, trapped behind severe psychological trauma, but it's there. She is absolutely a shifter. Everything changed. Pack law was absolute. Shifters had rights, humans did not. Owen gathered his evidence and carried it to Marcus's chambers as sun broke over mountains. Tell me you found something, Marcus said. Tell me there's reason to question what seems obvious. Dozens of reasons, Alpha. Owen laid out everything, testimonies, the healer's findings, documentation of years of torture. The girl has been systematically abused, and she's a shifter with a blocked wolf, which means she has legal rights we cannot ignore. Marcus's hands clenched into fists. Bring her to my private chambers. I want no witnesses until I understand what's happening in my own territory. When Maya was brought before him, washed and dressed, but still bearing evidence of her injuries, Marcus forced himself to truly see her. Show me, he commanded. Show me everything the Luna did to you. Maya hesitated, shame warring with self-preservation, but she obeyed, revealing skin marked by years of calculated cruelty. Marcus's wolf surged forward with a snarl that rattled his ribcage. The sound escaped involuntarily, a low, threatening growl that made his eyes flash gold. Maya stumbled backward, arms coming up to shield her head. She expected violence from authority. That broke something in Marcus's chest. I'm not going to hurt you, he said, forcing gentleness into his voice. Maya, look at me. I'm not going to hurt you. She peeked through her arms, trembling. Tell me everything, and this time I'll listen. So she told him, not just about the beatings and burns, but about parents who'd loved her, about watching them die while her wolf screamed to be freed, only to seize halfway through transformation and trap itself behind walls she couldn't break down. Petra found me 3 days later, half dead. She told me to hide what I was because shifters who can't shift proper are treated worse than humans. Marcus's jaw clenched. She was right, and that truth shamed him. Then Elena requested you. Yes, because you looked at me once, Alpha, for maybe 3 seconds. She saw it and decided I was a threat. Marcus remembered that day vaguely. He'd been exhausted, looking for quick food. He'd noticed the quiet girl with unusual eyes and thought nothing more. 3 seconds that sealed this girl's fate for 6 years. You're not going to die today, he said roughly. The execution is canceled. You're under protective custody while I investigate fully. Alpha, that's not a request, Maya. It's an order. He forced his voice gentle. You have a confirmed wolf, which means you have legal rights. I'm using those rights to buy time for proper investigation. Hope and disbelief warred in her expression. You believe me? Yes, I've seen enough evidence. What I don't know yet is the full extent of what's been happening while I've been blind. Chapter 4. The Trial. Over the following weeks, Marcus built his case methodically. He interrogated servants, gathered medical documentation, recorded testimonies. Every single person questioned admitted to seeing signs of abuse, unusual incidents, suspicious injuries. They'd all been too afraid to speak up. The evidence was damning. But knowing truth and acting on it were different things when politics were involved. He summoned his counsel, presenting evidence in cold, clinical terms. The evidence is disturbing, Alpha, Elder Garrett said, stroking his silver beard. But we must consider political ramifications. Elena Vance is daughter to Alpha Brennan of Vance Territory. Their alliance provides crucial trade routes. To accuse her publicly could trigger war. I have ironclad proof, Marcus growled. You have testimony and medical evidence, Elder Moira corrected. But Elena will claim the girl is lying. Her father will believe her, or claim to, because admitting guilt would shame his bloodline. Marcus's hands clenched. So, I do nothing? We're saying be strategic. Build your case carefully. Prepare for political fallout before making formal accusations. The words tasted like ash, but Marcus recognized their wisdom. Meanwhile, he visited Maya in the guest quarters. She'd been given comfortable rooms, food, medical treatment. But she sat on the floor beside the bed, as if comfort itself was foreign. You can use the bed, he said gently. That's what it's there for. It feels wrong, like I'm pretending to be someone I'm not. Marcus settled into a chair, careful to keep distance. You're a pack member with a confirmed wolf. You're entitled to proper treatment. She'll know I talked. She'll find a way to punish me. She won't touch you again, I promise. The words came out with alpha authority, a vow that would bind him. Over following days, their conversations deepened. She told him about her parents. He shared about the pressures of leadership, the loneliness of political marriages. Did you love her? Maya asked one night. When you married Elena. Marcus considered lying, but something about Maya demanded honesty. No. I hoped affection might grow, but there was always something cold beneath her beauty. I was wrong, and my blindness cost you years of suffering. You couldn't have known. I should have. A good alpha knows what happens in his territory. The healer began working with Maya on her blocked wolf. Marcus attended sessions, watching her face contort as she tried to push past mental barriers. Watched her eyes flash amber before her wolf slammed against invisible walls. Watched her cry in frustration. I can't, she sobbed after one difficult session. The damage is permanent. Marcus knelt beside her, one hand hovering near her shoulder. May I? She nodded and he pulled her against his chest. His wolf hummed with contentment at her nearness. You'll get there, he murmured. I have faith in you. Maya looked up at him with eyes that held something he couldn't quite name. Why does it matter so much, whether I can shift or not? Because you matter to me, he thought. Because my wolf recognizes yours. Because everyone deserves to be whole, he said instead. Their faces were close, breath mingling. Marcus felt the magnetic pull, saw her pupils dilate, caught the shift in her scent. He pulled back abruptly, standing. I should go. It's late. Confusion and hurt flashed across Maya's face. Of course. Thank you, Alpha. The formality stung. He was still married, still bound by duty. Kissing Maya would be a complication. Neither needed. But gods, he wanted to. Chapter 5. Reckoning. The breakthrough came during a thunderstorm 3 weeks into the investigation. Marcus was reviewing documents when he heard the scream. He burst through Maya's door to find her curled on the floor, eyes wide with terror, body shaking violently. "They came in the rain," she gasped. "The rogues. I can hear my mother screaming. I can smell the blood." Marcus dropped to his knees. "Maya, you're safe. You're here with me." But she was lost in flashback, 14 again and watching her parents die. "Listen to my voice," he commanded with alpha authority. "Feel my hand on your shoulder. You're in Thornridge now. Nothing will hurt you here." Her amber eyes slowly focused on him. "Marcus." "I'm here." He pulled her against his chest, one hand stroking her hair. "I've got you." Thunder crashed and she flinched. He began talking, telling childhood stories, anything to keep her grounded in the present. Gradually, her breathing steadied. "Thank you." They stayed like that for hours, his back against the wall and her curled against his chest, listening to the storm pass. Somewhere in those dark hours, Marcus admitted what his wolf had known from the moment he'd seen her scars. This wasn't just duty or sympathy. This was something far more dangerous. When dawn crept through windows, Maya stirred. "You stayed all night." "You needed me to." He stood, offering his hand. When her fingers touched his, that electric current ran through them both. "Maya, I need to tell you something." She looked up, amber eyes wary. "What?" "You're not just a responsibility to me anymore." Her breath caught. "What am I then?" "Everything. Mine. Someone I care about," he said carefully. "More than is probably wise." Something bright bloomed in her expression. "I care about you too, but I don't know how to do this. I've never been allowed to just feel things." "Then we figure it out together. Slowly." A sharp knock interrupted. Owen's voice came through the door. "Alpha, we have a problem. One of Elena's servants was caught questioning guards about your visits here. She's been reporting to the Luna." Ice flooded Marcus's veins. If Elena suspected the investigation had expanded, she'd either run or escalate. What does the Luna know? That you've been visiting Maya daily. That you seem personally invested. She doesn't know about the testimonies, but she's suspicious. Time had just run out. "Schedule a council meeting for tomorrow night. Public assembly in the Great Hall. I'm presenting everything we have, and demanding formal judgment on Elena's fitness as Luna." The summons arrived at dawn. Riders bearing the Vance crest. Alpha Brennan Vance demanded resolution within 5 days. Either the servant's execution or substantial compensation. Failure would result in severed trade agreements and military support withdrawal. "They're threatening war without saying it directly," Owen said. "But I can't execute an innocent woman or pay blood money for crimes she didn't commit." Marcus's jaw tightened. Force their hand before they force mine. What Marcus didn't know was that Elena had discovered fragments of his investigation. Her informants had reported his visits to Maya, the testimony gathering, the emissary who'd returned from Vance territory. She stood in her chambers, staring at her reflection. Running would admit guilt. Denial wouldn't work with evidence. But there was one option: turn herself into the victim one final time. The poison she'd acquired sat in a small vial on her dressing table, just enough to make her violently ill without killing her. Combined with the antidote she'd taken an hour ago, if she collapsed during the council meeting, she could frame it as the servant's revenge. She smiled at her reflection. One more performance. The Great Hall filled that evening. Council members at the high table, pack members crowding the space. Elena made her entrance in sapphire silk, accepting sympathies for surviving a deranged servant's attack. "We gather tonight to address serious matters regarding pack law," Marcus's voice rang out. 3 weeks ago, an incident seemed straightforward, but what appeared simple has revealed corruption threatening our territory's foundation. Murmurs rippled through the assembly. Elena's fingers tightened on her chair arms. "I have spent these weeks investigating not just the incident, but the pattern leading to it." He gestured to Owen, who stepped forward with documents. Testimony from multiple witnesses, medical evidence, accounts from previous attendants, all painting a picture of systematic abuse spanning years. Alpha, surely you're not suggesting, Elena began. I'm not suggesting, I'm stating facts, but first I invoke my right to question the accused directly. Elena's mask slipped briefly, a flash of calculation before she schooled her expression. Accused? What is this really about? Is it her? The servant girl? You've been visiting her daily? The whole castle knows. Tell me, Elena, how many of your personal attendants have disappeared or died under mysterious circumstances? The council has those numbers. The hall went silent. Elena's hand moved to her goblet, the one she'd personally poured, laced with poison that would make her collapse. But before she could drink, Marcus continued. I should mention I've had guards watching you constantly for the past week. Every movement, every meal preparation. Elena froze, goblet halfway to her lips. Drink, Marcus commanded with alpha authority. If you're innocent, you have nothing to fear from wine you poured yourself. She set it down carefully. I'm simply not thirsty. Then you won't mind if we have it tested? He nodded to a guard who took the goblet. Along with checking your chambers for whatever antidote you took earlier. Color drained from Elena's face. You set a trap, she whispered. I prepared for the only move you had left. Guards witnessed you adding something to that wine. Elder Garrett rose. Alpha, these are serious accusations. They're true. A guard captain stepped forward. I personally witnessed the Luna adding powder to her wine before entering the hall. Elena's composure shattered. She launched to her feet, ice-blue eyes blazing. You dare judge me? I am Luna of this pack, daughter of Alpha Brennan Vance. That girl was nothing, a broken servant who deserved every moment of pain I gave her. The admission rang through the hall, damning in its clarity. She deserved it because you looked at her, Elena continued, too far gone to stop. 3 seconds, Marcus. You looked at her for 3 seconds and I saw it. The interest in your eyes. So I took her from you. I broke her piece by piece until there was nothing left that could threaten my position. You tortured an innocent woman for 6 years because of 3 seconds of casual notice. Marcus's voice was deadly quiet. You murdered servants who tried to help her. You violated every code of honor Eluna swears to uphold. Honor? Elena laughed bitterly. You want to talk about honor when you're clearly besotted with a former slave? This investigation is just you justifying your desire to replace me. That's enough. Elder Moira's voice cut through Elena's tirade. Luna. Elena, you have confessed to crimes of systematic abuse and attempted murder. The evidence is overwhelming. Wait, a new voice interrupted, cold, authoritative, unexpected. Alpha Brennan Vance strode into the hall, silver-streaked hair and stern features marking him clearly as Elena's father. Behind him came Vance warriors, their presence causing immediate tension. Father! Elena's expression transformed to relief. Thank the gods. Tell them this is madness. I received word 2 hours ago of tonight's proceedings, Brennan said, face carved from stone. I came immediately because I needed to hear with my own ears whether my daughter had truly brought such shame upon our bloodline. He approached the high table, eyes not quite meeting Elena's desperate gaze. I heard her confession. Every word. I was waiting outside the hall to make a proper entrance. Instead, I heard my daughter admit to years of torture, to murder, to betrayal of sacred duties. He finally looked at Elena, expression holding nothing but cold disappointment. You are no child of mine. Father, no. The Vance family hereby severs all ties with Elena Vance Thornridge. We disavow her actions, her crimes, her very existence. She speaks only for herself. Brennan turned to Marcus. Alpha Thornridge, on behalf of my territory, I formally apologize for the monster we sent to your lands. We offer no defense, and will not contest whatever judgment you pass. The political maneuvering was brilliant in its cruelty. By disowning Elena publicly, Brennan saved his family's reputation and eliminated justification for war. He'd sacrificed his daughter to protect his territory's standing. Elena stood frozen, betrayed by the very father she'd relied on. "You're abandoning me." "You abandoned honor. You brought shame upon everything our family stands for. Whatever happens now, you've earned." Elder Garrett rose with grave formality. "Elena Vance, formerly of Thornridge. This council finds you guilty of systematic abuse, of murder, of code violation, and of attempted poisoning. You are hereby stripped of all titles, all rights, all protection under pack law. You are banished from this territory, effective immediately." Marcus stood, his words carrying alpha command. "Furthermore, I invoke my right to annul this marriage on grounds of fraud. You concealed your true nature, violated sacred vows, and betrayed everything a mate bond should represent. We were never truly wed, only legally bound. That bond is now severed." Elena swayed, her world crumbling. "Where am I supposed to go? You can't just... You should have thought of that before you destroyed innocent lives." Marcus gestured to guards. "Remove her. Give her 1 horse, basic supplies, and escort her to the border. After that, she is no longer our concern." As guards approached, Elena's mask reformed one final time, fury and hatred replacing desperation. "You'll regret this," she spat at Marcus. "The broken girl you're protecting will never be whole enough to be Luna. She'll fail you just as I apparently failed to kill her properly." "The only thing I regret," Marcus said softly, "is that it took me so long to see you for what you truly are." They dragged her from the hall, her screams echoing until distance, muted them. After Brennan left, Marcus immediately went to Maya's quarters. She stood at the window, having heard distant commotion, but not knowing what transpired. "It's over," he said simply. She turned, amber eyes wide. "What happened?" "Elena confessed before the entire pack. She admitted everything. Her father disowned her publicly. The council banished her. The marriage is annulled." He crossed to her in 3 strides. "You're free, Maya. Truly free." The words took a moment to penetrate. Then her legs gave out, and Marcus caught her, holding her as she finally broke. Great racking sobs held back for 6 years, spilling out all at once. "It's over," he repeated, hand gentle in her hair. "She can never hurt you again. I promise." Chapter 6. New Beginning. 2 weeks after Elena's banishment, Maya woke to sunlight streaming through windows. The physical scars were fading, but deeper wounds would take longer. "The Alpha asks if you're feeling well enough for training today," Petra said, entering with breakfast. Marcus had arranged for a veteran warrior to teach Maya self-defense. Learning to fight back was part of reclaiming stolen power. "Tell him yes," Maya said, surprising herself with eagerness. The council had begun pressuring Marcus about securing a new Luna. Political marriages were proposed with alarming frequency. Marcus refused every suggestion. "I will choose my own mate when I'm ready," he told Elder Garrett with finality. "There is no urgency that justifies another loveless arrangement." What he didn't say was that he'd already found his mate. She just needed time to heal before he could court her properly. He visited Maya daily, always careful to maintain distance so she wouldn't feel pressured. They talked about everything: pack politics, her progress with the healer, memories of her parents, his frustrations with elder interference. The connection between them deepened with each conversation. "The healer wants to try something different tomorrow," Maya told him one evening, 3 weeks after Elena's banishment. "She thinks if I can connect with good memories of my parents, not just trauma, it might help unlock my wolf." "How do you feel about that?" Maya pulled her knees to her chest, terrified, but also hopeful. "I've spent 13 years trying to forget that night. Maybe it's time to remember everything else instead. I'll be there if you want me to be." She looked at him, amber eyes reflecting sunset. "I want you there." The session was intense. Maya sat cross-legged on the floor, Marcus in a chair behind her. "Tell me about your mother," the healer prompted. "Not how she died, how she lived." "She used to sing while she worked," Maya whispered. Old songs from her grandmother's pack. She smelled like pine needles and bread. And your father? He was patient. He taught me to track by scent when I was 6. He had this deep laugh that made his whole body shake. A small smile curved Maya's lips. Now remember the night they died. Not the violence, the love. They fought to protect you. They wanted you to survive. Maya's breathing quickened. Inside her chest, her wolf stirred, not with violent desperation, but with purpose. They loved you enough to die for you, the healer continued. Your wolf tried to emerge that night to protect them. It's been waiting ever since. Let it out, Maya. Something inside her fractured, not painfully, but like ice melting. Her wolf surged forward, and this time, when Maya reached for transformation, the barriers dissolved. Her eyes blazed amber gold. Claws extended from fingertips. Fangs pushed past her lips. It wasn't complete, but it was the farthest she'd gotten in 13 years. Her wolf was there, present, no longer trapped. Marcus's own wolf responded instantly, recognizing hers with bone-deep certainty. The connection wasn't just attraction. It was fate. True mate. The bond his kind rarely found but always yearned for. I did it, Maya gasped. Marcus, I did it. He was beside her instantly, pulling her into his arms. His wolf hummed with contentment, finally allowed close to its mate. I'm so proud of you, he murmured, meaning every word. 3 days later, Maya woke at midnight to wrongness in the air. Her newly awakened wolf sensed it first. Hostile intent, multiple sources, moving toward the castle. She was racing through corridors before conscious thought caught up. Alpha! She burst into Marcus's chambers. There are intruders. At least 6 coming from the east. They mean harm. Marcus didn't question how she knew. He simply acted, sending mental call to rouse warriors, pulling on weapons and armor. Within minutes, the castle defense mobilized. The attackers were mercenaries hired for revenge, whether by Elena herself or Vance relatives, it didn't matter. They were skilled, well-armed, and had infiltrated farther than they should have, but they hadn't counted on Maya's abilities. Her rare gift, the capacity to sense malicious intent before it struck, gave Thornridge forces just enough warning. The battle was brief and brutal. Owen led defense while Marcus took down the mercenary leader. When dawn broke, 6 attackers lay dead and 3 were captured. Pack members gathered in the courtyard. Then someone noticed Maya standing beside the Alpha, amber eyes carrying flecks of gold, posture straight with quiet confidence. She saved us, a young guard announced. She sensed them before any of us knew. Murmurs spread through the crowd. Respect, grudging but real, replaced the pity they'd shown before. That evening Marcus called a full pack assembly. Maya stood at his side, no longer hidden, but presented as his equal. You all know what happened last night, Marcus began. We survived because of one person's courage and gifted foresight. He turned to Maya, expression softening. Maya has proven herself worthy of respect, of honor, of a place in this pack beyond what anyone expected. He dropped to one knee before her, and the hall went silent. Maya, you are my true mate. My wolf has known it since I truly saw you, and my heart has learned it in the weeks since. I'm asking you now, before witnesses, not because protocol demands it, but because I want you to have the choice Elena never gave you. He took her hand gently. Will you be my Luna? Not out of duty or politics, but because we choose each other? Tears spilled down Maya's cheeks, but her voice was steady. Yes! The pack erupted in cheers. The claiming ceremony happened that night under full moon with pack witnesses and council blessing. Marcus's bite marked her throat, her own teeth breaking his skin in reciprocal claim that made them equals. When they came together in privacy of his chambers, when the bond sealed completely, Maya's wolf finally broke free entirely. The full transformation she'd been denied for 13 years surged through her, painful, but transcendent. Her bones reshaped. Fur erupted across skin. For the first time since she was 13, she stood on 4 legs as a complete shifter. Her wolf was smaller than Marcus's, sleek and dark with amber eyes gleaming with intelligence. She wasn't the largest or most powerful, but she was whole. Finally, blessedly whole. Marcus's wolf nuzzled against hers, a gesture of tenderness that made her heart swell. They ran through the forest that night, 2 wolves moving as one, the bond between them singing with rightness. When they returned to human form at dawn, tangled in his bed with first light creeping through windows, Maya touched the claiming mark on her throat with wonder. "I never thought I'd have this," she whispered. "Family, love, freedom." "You have all of it now," Marcus promised, pulling her closer. "And I will spend every day making sure you never forget it." Epilogue. 6 months later, Maya stood at the head of the council table, dark hair pulled back in a practical braid. Morning sun caught the Luna's mark on her throat, Marcus's claiming bite silvered with age but still visible. "The harvest reports show improvement," Elder Garrett said, sliding parchment across polished wood. "Your reforms to servant housing have increased productivity significantly. When people feel valued, they work harder." Maya studied the numbers with satisfaction. 3 months ago, she'd instituted sweeping changes to how castle staff were treated. Proper quarters instead of cramped cells. Regular meals with adequate portions. A formal complaint system allowing any servant to appeal directly to her or Marcus if mistreated. Most controversially, she'd mandated monthly health examinations for all staff. The healer now screened for signs of abuse, malnutrition, neglect. Any supervisor found harming those under their care faced immediate removal and potential banishment. Older pack members grumbled about coddling servants, but the younger generation understood. Power without accountability was tyranny, and their Luna would tolerate neither. "There's one more matter," Elder Moira added carefully. "We've received word from the Eastern Territories. Elena was spotted attempting to secure a position in Alpha Garrett's household." Maya's hand moved instinctively to her abdomen, a protective gesture she'd developed over recent weeks. "He rejected her application the moment he verified her identity," Moira continued. "Her reputation precedes her now. No respectable alpha will risk the scandal." Good, Maya thought but didn't say. Elena was someone else's problem now. Or more likely, no one's problem. Wandering as a rogue with nowhere to belong. Exactly the fate she'd inflicted on so many others. "Thank you for the update. Is there anything else requiring immediate attention?" When the council shook their heads, Maya dismissed them with easy authority she'd grown into over months of practice. She found Marcus in the training yards, working through combat drills with young warriors. Even after months of marriage, the sight of him made her breath catch. All controlled power and lethal grace. He sensed her presence immediately, as he always did. "Luna," he greeted formally for the trainee's benefit, but his gray eyes warmed with affection. "We're working on defensive formations. Would you care to demonstrate the detection technique?" This had become routine. Maya's rare gift, sensing hostile intent before it manifested physically, made her an invaluable teacher. She'd spent months training scouts and guards to recognize subtle signs she detected instinctively. For the next hour, Maya guided them through exercises designed to sharpen awareness. She'd learned her gift wasn't entirely unique. Other shifters possessed rudimentary versions. With proper training, they could develop enhanced threat detection that made Thornridge's defenses nearly impenetrable. When the session ended, Marcus caught her hand as they walked toward the castle. The healer sent word. "She'd like to see you this afternoon." Maya's other hand moved to her stomach. The secret she'd been carrying for 3 weeks. "I already know what she'll say." Marcus stopped walking, turning to face her fully. "I'm pregnant," she said softly, almost reverently. "About 6 weeks, I think. I wanted to be certain before I told you." His expression transformed, shock melting into wonder, then fierce protectiveness. He pulled her against his chest, one hand cradling her head, while the other spread across her still flat abdomen. "Are you afraid?" She'd expected the question. After years of abuse and trauma, pregnancy represented vulnerability she'd once never imagined surviving. But she'd spent months healing, learning to trust her own strength and the safety Marcus provided. "No," she said honestly. "I'm not afraid. Not anymore." That evening, they announced the news to a private gathering. Petra wept openly, pulling Maya into a fierce embrace that smelled of flower and herbs and home. "Your mother would be so proud," Petra whispered. "So proud of the woman you've become." Owen raised his cup in solemn toast. "To the future heir of Thornridge. May they inherit their mother's wisdom and their father's strength." Later, alone in their chambers, Marcus held Maya before massive windows overlooking the territory. The moon hung full and bright, painting mountains in silver light. "Do you remember the first night I brought you here?" he asked quietly. "After Elena was banished? You stood by this window like you couldn't believe it was real. I couldn't. I kept thinking I'd wake up back in that cell. That freedom was just another cruel dream." Maya turned in his arms to face him. "Sometimes I still can't believe this is my life. That I'm Luna. That I'm carrying our child. That I'm allowed to just be happy." "You're not allowed to be happy. You've earned it." Marcus cupped her face with both hands, touch infinitely gentle. "Every day you prove that survival isn't just about enduring. It's about transforming. You took everything Elena tried to destroy and built something stronger from the ruins." Maya pressed her palm over his heart, feeling the steady rhythm that matched her own. Their bond thrummed between them, constant reminder she was no longer alone, no longer fighting just to survive. She had purpose, partnership, peace. "The scars are still there," she said softly. "Physical ones faded. But the others? Sometimes I wake up and forget I'm safe. Sometimes I still flinch when someone raises their hand too quickly. That's not weakness. That's memory. And memory keeps us vigilant." He kissed her forehead. "But it doesn't have to define us anymore." A knock interrupted the moment. One of the night guards entered at Marcus's command, expression apologetic. "Alpha, Luna, I apologize for the intrusion. There's a situation requiring your attention." A young woman arrived at the gates claiming sanctuary. She says she served as personal attendant to a Luna in the Western Territories and has proof of systematic abuse. Maya and Marcus exchanged glances, an entire conversation happening in the space between heartbeats. This would become their legacy. Not justice for Maya alone, but a precedent that abuse of power would no longer be tolerated in silence. "Bring her to the guest quarters," Maya said. "Make sure she's fed, given clean clothes, and knows she's safe. I'll speak with her in the morning." After the guard left, Marcus pulled her close again. "You're going to help her." "Of course I am, because someone helped me, because someone saw me when I'd learned to be invisible." Maya looked up at her mate, her partner, the alpha who'd broken every expectation of what power should look like. "We're going to make sure every Luna in every territory knows that if they abuse those under their care, there will be consequences. Real ones. That's going to make us unpopular in certain circles. Good. I'd rather be unpopular and righteous than well-liked and complicit." They stood together at the window long into the night, two wolves who'd found each other against impossible odds. Maya thought about the girl she'd been 6 months ago. Broken, terrified, convinced she deserved the suffering inflicted upon her. That girl was gone, transformed through fire into someone stronger. Someone who could stand before a pack and command respect earned through wisdom rather than fear. Her parents would have been proud. The knowledge settled warm in her chest, easing an ache she'd carried for 13 years. She'd survived. More than that, she'd thrived. The promise she'd made to her dying mother, survive no matter what, had been kept in ways neither could have imagined. Maya's wolf stirred contentedly inside her. no longer trapped or silent, but an integral part of who she was. Free. Whole. Finally able to run without fear through forests that belonged to her as much as anyone. "What are you thinking about?" Marcus asked, sensing the shift in her emotions through their bond. "That scars tell stories. Mine say I survived a monster wearing a beautiful face, that I was broken and learned to heal, that I was caged and earned my freedom." She placed both hands over her abdomen where new life grew, and that our child will grow up knowing their mother was strong enough to transform pain into purpose. They'll also know their mother is brilliant, compassionate, and occasionally terrifying when someone threatens those under her protection. Maya laughed, the sound coming easier now than in early days. "Only occasionally. I'm trying to be diplomatic." She turned in his arms, rising on her toes to kiss him with passion that still surprised her. The realization that she could want someone without fear, could be intimate without expecting pain. That love didn't require submission or sacrifice of self, but rather the choice to stand beside someone as equals. When they finally pulled apart, Marcus rested his forehead against hers. "I love you, Luna of Thornridge. Today, tomorrow, every day we're given. I love you too, Alpha. My mate, my partner, my choice." Outside their windows, the moon continued its steady journey across the sky, illuminating a territory that was safer, more just, and more compassionate than under previous leadership. Pack members slept secure in knowledge their Luna would protect them, not through fear or manipulation, but through genuine care for their well-being. And in the guest quarters, a young woman who'd fled abuse cried tears of relief, finally believing sanctuary was more than just a word. Maya had kept her mother's final command: survive. But she'd done so much more than merely endure. She'd built a life worth living, created a legacy worth leaving, and found a love worth celebrating. The scars would always be there, reminders of battles fought and won. But they no longer defined her. They were simply part of her story, the dark chapters that made the bright ones shine all the more beautifully. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoyed the story. This week, I'm giving away 1 month of free access to all my Patreon content, exclusive stories, bonus chapters, and a special one linked to this episode. Just leave a comment below with your favorite quote from today's story, and I'll announce the winner in my next video. Good luck.